Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Golden Podcast where we have interviews with world-class TCM community leaders, discovering their stories, habits, psychology, and all their secrets that led to their success. I have the honor of being here today with Jimmy Yen. Jimmy, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to chat with you. You can maybe hear it in my voice because we have a mutual friend, Kirsten Karchmer. I respect her so highly. She's brilliant and about as motivated as they get. And I was chatting with her on the phone about practice management and things, and she's like, "Oh my God, I'm learning so much from this guy, and you should talk to him, and you should have him on the podcast. He's perfect." So here we are. I'm excited to chat. So this is me and Jimmy's first time getting together, and he's going to help us understand a bit more about how he's operating and running his practice and clinic, which is going to be interesting. I'm just a little housekeeping. If you haven't subscribed to the Golden Podcast, you can do it on our YouTube channel, or you can get updated if you're on our Facebook page and stuff as well, and obviously on thegoldencabinet.ca. So Jimmy, here, if I get anything wrong, just let me know. You're currently in Cedar Park. Is that Austin or somewhere close to Austin?
It's a suburb in Austin.
Okay, great.
In Texas,
so Jimmy got his biochemistry degree in 2000 at the University of Texas, Austin.
Yep.
Master's in Oriental Medicine 2004 at the Texas Health and Science University, and we're licensed the same year. You and I licensed same year. Nice. Your professional achievements, I love this part. He claims to be, this is pretty lofty, but he claims to be one of the top mistake makers in the acupuncture profession. So I'm excited to dive further into that. That to me means you've learned more than anybody, probably. So
hopefully,
experience you have. Started at the Texas Institute of Health in Waco for a couple of years after school, and then you went to the Hill County Acupuncture and Herbal Clinic in Austin for a couple of years after that. And then I'm not sure if this is when you opened your own or not, but Yenacupuncture and Herbal Clinic in Cedar Park is clearly yours from 2007 on, and Achieve Integrative Health in Cedar Park. This might be the newer venture. I'm not sure, but we'll get you to clarify all that. Yeah. Awesome. So in the tradition of these Golden Podcasts, I'm going to kind of hand over the mic to you. And I selfishly, like I said, I like to hear background stories. So what got you into Chinese medicine? What was their early influences, or was this, I mean, you look quite young to me. I don't know, but give everybody a little background.
I'm actually older than I look.
Okay. Well,
thanks, Spence, for having me on this, and I really actually what you're doing, gathering and interviewing all of these successful acupuncturists is a great thing, because we need more of it. We need more successful acupuncturists out there helping, because the acupuncture profession needs that big help. Actually, just this lunch, I was having lunch with a student, right, and she was just trying to get the logistics about what's the reality of the acupuncture business, because that's not what's taught in school. Nope. And so obviously, what I told her, it kind of shocked her. Yeah. So she's like, "Well, I'm glad I'm having lunch with you now before I graduate." Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just a little bit about me. So there's not much. I don't have a big story about why I got into acupuncture. I'll just tell you my short story. I do have a story of how I started my practice, and I think that could be very beneficial. But let's start with my personal story. So when I was in UT, my dad, who's a computer programmer, he said, "Hey, I'm going to study acupuncture when I retire." And so he told me, "Oh, there's actually a school here in Austin, Texas that can teach acupuncture. Can you go get some information for me?" And so I went to get information for my dad, and that's how I got my foot in the door into acupuncture. Now, growing up, my dad's always been a health nut. He's always been into nutrition because he had some health issues during his 30s, which he resolved just by changing his diet. And so ever since his 30s, he's 76. He just turned 76 a couple weeks ago. And he's been basically treating himself with nutrition, Chinese medicine, acupuncture. So he did end up studying acupuncture, but not to treat other people, but really just to treat himself and treat my mom. So kind of selfishly, but that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say it's been, nutrition and natural healing has been in my life growing up. And so it was a natural transition, because I was studying for biochemistry. I was going to become a vet. And then I kind of just went the other direction in Chinese medicine. On a side note, a big reason that I stayed and studied Chinese medicine was at that same time I met my wife.
I thought so. Acupuncturists are great people,
I met my wife, and then I was at that crossroad, and then I met this woman, and I was like, if I go to vet school, I'd have to go to a different city completely. That's 3 hours away, and or I could stay in Austin and pursue this girl. And so, we've been married, 16 years? So
yeah,
I guess we chose.
It worked out. Wow, hey, acupuncture decision made by a woman. Yeah, sounds about right. Good job.
That's really how I got into the acupuncture field.
Yeah.
Feel free to stop me. Otherwise, I will ramble.
Yeah, well, it's okay. You know what? I love your city. I've been down to the conference there that the college puts on.
Southwest?
Yeah, right after the South by Southwest Music Festival. It's it's in that hotel. I love watching the bats come out from under that bridge.
Yeah,
Congress Bridge. Crazy. And I hear Austin's changed a lot in the last few years, so I got to get back down there. There's
definitely.
It seems like Austin and Portland are these hot spots for like acupuncture and Chinese medicine activity, and I love it. Anyway.
Yeah.
But okay, so now you have gotten through your school and you've met the love of your life. Now you've decided to get into practice. You said you got a bit of a story there.
Yeah. So, sharing some personal information, because I'm all about transparency. So when I got married with my wife, just so happened something happened. Her parents lost everything. And so, they didn't even have a penny to their name.
Oh, geez.
And so that's what I got into when I got married to her. So right off the bat, I knew we would have to support them for the rest of their life.
Right.
And so just so happens, graduated. Thankfully, I was hired by a physician in Waco. That's the Texas Institute of Health.
Right.
And I was there. They hired me to set up their acupuncture department.
Okay.
But I was living in the Austin area, which is about an hour and a half away.
Okay.
So my wife just started her new job, and so everything was brand new. And I had to drive an hour and a half one way. So every day I was driving 3 hours. And I did that for 6 months.
Wow.
Now, I love driving, but when you don't see the sun ever for 6 months, it gets kind of, tiring.
Podcasts don't cut it after a while, right?
Exactly. Because I get up early just to drive there to get on time, be there at 8 o'clock, and then I would leave late. I wouldn't leave till 7 or 8, and so I never saw the sun.
Oh,
and so after 6 months, it got tiring, and I decided, okay, let's open a practice in Austin. I did.
You were motivated. What you were handed right off out of the gate, you've got to support people was a lot. So there's big motivation.
Yes. Yeah. We were living, so, obviously I wasn't making, before I got the job, I wasn't making a salary. So my wife, she started it was her first, job, and I think she was getting paid $35,000. So she was supporting 4 people starting off at $35,000. So we, pinched our pennies. And one thing I like to tell other acupuncturists, like for my wife and I, we kept our expenses down to $2,000 a month. Wow. We did that for 1 year. And yet we were still able to save. So that's another whole story, which I can, talk about later. And so I came back to Austin, decided to open a practice. I contacted another acupuncturist, and I partnered with another acupuncturist, and we opened a practice in Austin. And at that time, I still didn't know any business, so I didn't know how to build a business, right? So we did and we were only open for 8 months, and we made about 8,000 that month. I mean that 8 months. So
$8,000.
Yes,
Okay.
$8,000.
Okay.
So we were not profitable, and so the partnership didn't work out, and so we split. And then again, I was at the fork in the road again. What do I do? We just tried this acupuncture clinic. It didn't work. Right. And I still got the $100,000 in student debt. Plus, now I have to, my wife is struggling because she's the only breadwinner, right. And she has to support 4 adults. Mm-hmm. And so I was at the fork in the road, and I had a choice. So one of her friends, my wife's friend, was a nurse anesthetist. Okay. I don't know if you know what that is.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually, you're using the Canadian pronunciation of that specialty. Usually, I believe that Americans called them anesthesiologists or anyway. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so they make great money starting out, right? You get out, and your base salary is $140,000. Nice. Right? Yeah. And so I was like, okay, acupuncture, no money. So it's time to change careers. Okay. So I gave up. So actually at that point, I gave up on Chinese medicine.
I think everyone listening's been there. maybe most.
Maybe, yeah. And so I gave up, and I had to first get my nursing degree. I didn't have a nursing degree because you have to get a bachelor's in nursing. Okay. So I applied for I didn't want to do so the nursing program takes 4 years. Right. And I didn't want to wait another 4 years. Right. So they actually have a program in Texas Tech in Lubbock, Texas, where they condense 4 years into 1 year. Ooh. And so it was an accelerated program. So all I applied for it. Okay. Exactly. It's nonstop. So I applied for it, and I got accepted, and I moved to Lubbock, Texas. Okay. Now you have to understand, my wife was still in Austin. Right. That's an 8-hour drive.
8 hours. Okay. Wow.
8. Okay. Yes. And so basically, I did that. I did that for a month. And then after a month of being apart from my wife, she and I decided it's not worth it. Right. It's not worth, the money that I potentially could make to be apart, because it's not just going to be 1 year. After 1 year, I have to work 2 years, and then I have to go to master's program for another 2 years. So that's 4 years that we're going to be apart.
And money.
And exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So initially, I was looking for the money, right? Right. And so I chose that, and then we discussed it, and we're like, this is not worth any money. Yeah. And so at that point was another fork in the road. Yeah. It's like, okay, let's come back to acupuncture. Let's see if I can do it by myself and make it work this time. And that's what I decided. I was like, this time, I mean, there is no room for failure. I cannot fail at all. Right. I can't, because I already still have the debt, and we still have the parents to support. Mm-hmm. So it was just like, okay, I have to make it work. If I have to not sleep, I'm going to make it work. Right. And that was 2007, and that's when I started my practice, my current practice right now. Yeah. And I hit the ground running. I worked 80 hours a week. I did health screenings every week for 1 year. And my first 13 months, I grossed 100,000. And so nice. It was at that time I was like,
I can make this happen.
I did it. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And year after the next few years, I kept on doubling my practice exponentially. Nice. And so I evolved. My practice was called the Yenacupuncture and Herbal Clinic, which which a side note, don't ever name your practice under your name.
Okay. If you ever want out.
If you want to expand.
Yeah.
And so going through, obviously 2010 all the way to 2010, I was doing really good. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all relative, right? It's compared to everybody that's around me. My practice grew to 300,000, mm-hmm. and I was personally taking home 150,000. Right. I was living large, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I have a sense. Sorry to interrupt you, but I have a sense of where you're going here, and I have. It's a common story, and you'll maybe back this up, that in those first 3 years or so, there's that exponential growth curve that's just So amazing. And if you put your nose to the grindstone and you're the primary breadwinner of the family, that really can happen. You don't have to be a primary breadwinner, but motivated. But correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I have seen. It's really after that 5-year mark or so where you start to be tested, because that curve doesn't continue like that.
No, it doesn't.
You know, and growth is much more calculated and educated after that.
Well, it didn't for me. You know, if and I don't know other people's reasons. I know my reasons.
Okay, yeah.
So, so 2010, I was living large, and I rested on my laurels. That's what happened. I got complacent. You know, I was like, hey, I'm doing better than most acupuncturists all around me.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I've already hit the top. And so I tested out a theory. The theory was, can I not do any marketing and sustain my practice? So I tested that out for 2 years. I did zero marketing. And I sustained my practice for 2 years, you know, sustained it 300,000, is taking home 150,000. And then 2 years later, that was 2012, you start to see the plateau.
Right.
So in stats, I'm a stats guy. So when you have a plateau, there's only 2 directions you can go.
Right.
One is up, one is down.
Right.
But plateaus usually mean down.
Right.
So that's what happened. I saw my stats started to go down, and I was like, oh shit, I better start working again.
Yeah. Word of mouth wasn't enough. 2 years and then
Exactly. That's another thing. My experience. Word of mouth, number one, does not build a practice. Word of mouth is the best, gives you the best patients, but it can't grow your practice either.
It's a long-term plan for sure.
Exactly. You always have to do marketing. That's a myth. Everybody, glorifies word of mouth as it's the only way, it's the best way. It doesn't grow your practice, and it can barely sustain. It can sustain. It sustained it for 2 years for me. Me doing no other marketing, just word of mouth. But that's not the reality. And so my stats started going down, and the 2 years, it just basically the growth stopped. I stopped growing. I felt good because I was only working 28 hours a week.
Right.
And I was making good money. I was like, oh, okay, this is awesome. And I later found out it was because my purpose wasn't big enough.
Right. Okay.
And that's why I stalled. So now I have a bigger purpose. And so now and going back to the exponential growth, I tried to get that exponential growth, but I did it the wrong way. This is about me making mistakes.
Awesome.
like everybody, there's all these shiny objects around, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I tried those shiny objects. I tested them all out. So 2000, I tested 2 big, expensive shiny objects. Okay. One in 2015 and one in 2016. 2015, the shiny object I tried was called medical integration.
Okay.
So basically, I hired a physician and I hired a nurse practitioner to work for me as employees.
Right.
And it works for some people, but it just didn't work for me. And there's a lot of reasons why, but I did that for 1 year. So it wasn't like I tested it. I dive in. So I burn my ships. I dive in. I don't
good
the
man.
water. So I did that for 1 year. And I actually ended up, I still grossed. I mean, gross doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, no.
I still lost money. I lost like $50,000 that year. And if that wasn't enough, hitting my head, I like to hit my head against a brick wall. So I tried another shiny object.
I just heard something today, or a woman said something like, make the same mistake twice, or make the same mistake. You got to make the same mistake 3 to 4 times so you actually get it. So there you go.
You got to wait till the blood is running down your eyes.
Yeah.
Then you start seeing, hey, you're hitting your head against the wall.
Hallelujah.
Well, I didn't see blood yet, so I started banging my head even more. So 2016, I did something called functional medicine.
Right.
And I went all in. Like, I let my associates do the acupuncture part. I went 100% in functional medicine.
Okay.
I joined a coaching program. That's one of the top coaching programs for functional medicine in the U.S. cost me $100,000 to join, and I did it full blown.
Okay.
And that I didn't lose as much money, but that almost tore up my practice. That almost killed my practice. Because functional medicine, the hype was this, the theory that I was testing. Can you work less and make more?
Right.
Right?
Okay.
So I tested that theory.
Okay.
So I was treating less people. I was treating maybe, let's see, 2000. I was averaging about 135 to 140 a week.
Okay.
And then doing functional medicine, that cuts it in half. So that cut it to 60 to 70 patients a week.
Still a lot.
Yeah. And so I was grossing the same, but my expense went through the roof.
Right.
So I was actually taking home less.
Wow.
Right. And so I did that for 1 year, tried it out, didn't work. Okay. And then that was 2016. So I had to spend 2017 to rebuild my practice.
Okay.
Because I went from 140 to 70. Now I have to pump it back up to 140 again. So I spent the whole 2017, making up for the mistake that I made.
Right.
But thankfully, 2016, blood got into my eyes, and now I'm more focused. No more shiny objects.
No more. Yep. Good. Timeless principles from here forward, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I have a bit of an idea of how you got your clinic structured. You have a couple of associates, and I'm not exactly sure what your front acupuncture assistants are, and that's a question that I had actually. But is that kind of how you move forward now? You brought in a model that helped you grow in that more traditional, whatever we'll call it, traditional model, or?
Yeah, so in 2014, I was still straight acupuncture.
Right.
Before I started diving into these shiny objects. Yeah. And so in 2014, I was straight acupuncture, straight TCM, and I was able to get my practice up to $500,000. And so that was
just
me.
You on your own? Okay.
Yeah. No. Me and another associate.
I said so you were busy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, myself, I maxed out about 140 patient visits a week.
Yeah.
So that's crazy busy.
That's crazy busy.
So it was me, 2 acupuncturists, and some support staff.
Yeah.
So I'm going back. That was a proven system because I already did it.
Yeah.
So I'm going back to that system.
You got bored. Yeah.
And so now it's like, but I'm simplifying it. I've also simplified my past system so that any acupuncturist that comes to join my team, or any team member that joins my team, can actually just be plopped in and start, running pretty soon.
Okay.
So that's what I'm focusing on now.
So they're brought in. From what I see, somehow there's a chief acupuncturist, and then there's what do you call them, staff acupuncturists, or is that the right terms?
Yes.
So the staff acupuncturist, is that more of the apprentice or the junior, or
yeah?
Okay.
The junior, it's like the junior associate. The chief acupuncturist, the senior associate.
Yeah.
I do that just so it doesn't create competition.
Right. Okay.
Among associates.
Okay.
Because they're compensated based on their patient visits.
Okay.
And so yeah.
So is it? Does the junior do the acupuncture for the senior? Like, is it do they manage the case, and then the staff acupuncturist is more of the technician, or do they handle separate cases and there's different fee structures, or?
Yeah. So we treat all our patients together.
Okay.
Because the patients don't belong to either acupuncturist.
Okay.
It belongs to the clinic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And so everybody has their job, and so the junior acupuncturist, they do the easiest part of a treatment.
Right.
The easiest part is the acupuncture.
Yeah. Putting the needles in.
Putting the needles in. That's the easiest part.
Yeah.
And the senior associate, the chief acupuncturist, he does the most difficult part, which is the communication.
Right.
The communication with the patients, the closing of the plans.
Yeah.
That's the most difficult part. And also managing the patients, making sure we retain the patients, right? And also we get new patients.
Right. So case manager. Yeah.
Yeah,
basically.
case manager. Yeah, he does part of the chief acupuncturist is like case manager. He still treats too.
Right.
He
Yeah.
still treats majority of the patients.
Oh, he does. But the technician comes in. That's their way. Sometimes like a couple times a week, or
Well, both of mine are full time.
okay. So
Yeah, all my employees are full time.
okay. So some of the so then these patients might see some of the follow-ups with the technician and every so often, and then the senior every 4 weeks or something, or
So the chief acupuncturist does all the initial exams.
yeah.
And then and also the re-exams, and we have something called pulse reevaluations.
Okay.
He does all those.
Yeah.
And then the staff, the junior associate, does just the needling part.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're a herbalist, or that's more of the work you're doing there now.
Actually, I have finally managed to create my system where I only treat about 10% of my patients now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Treat
'cause I'm
meaning
acupuncture or
Yeah,
herbs.
yeah,
It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
The main reason I'm doing that is because I'm opening a second practice.
Yeah.
Actually in a month, and so
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah.
I want to be where you are at.
Oh yeah, really? Okay. You're about to be there, so we'll see how that goes. We'll chat a lot more soon.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Cool.
So I'm gonna be at my second location and getting that one up and running, and then I'll hire associates
Awesome.
to manage that.
In the same way,
Yes.
right? The same model.
Yep.
Okay, so that's great, are the fees to the patient any different if the technician or the staff acupuncturist is doing the needling or the chief?
No.
Or you? No, this is the way the clinic treats, and that's your fees.
Yeah, because again, it's if you create different fees,
Yeah.
then patients, it creates different perceptions from the patients.
Totally.
I want the patients to walk in. I mean, just the way that we dress, we don't wear. I was wearing a white coat, but that's because I was cool in here.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't wear white coats.
No.
Okay, and so if a patient walked in to our clinic and my team just stood out in front, they would not know who's the acupuncturist.
Right.
So that's the perception I want to create. I want patients to know that it doesn't matter if they're front desk. The front desk is involved in their treatment.
Right.
Everybody is involved in their treatment. We all come as a team. Mm-hmm. So when we're doing the initial exam, we're telling them our team is treating you, not me. Right. I'm not the person treating you. Our whole team is, and we work collectively as a team. So some days, this acupuncturist may treat you, and the other one may treat you another day. But we do the exact same thing.
Right. And we'll check in on you, and we've got a system. I mean, amen to that. You call them front acupuncture assistants. I mean, we refer to them as our administrative staff or our reception, or same thing basically. But they may be one of the greatest keys, in my humble opinion, to growing a practice. And and because that's where treatment starts. Mm-hmm. Or the support and care, or at least starts. It shouldn't just be someone hired because they can answer a phone and take money or something. They need to connect with the patient, make them feel welcome and ready, and open them so our treatments behind the reception are more effective, right? And then anyway, so I absolutely love that. It is a team effort, and that's one of the benefits I love of having a clinic that has multiple associates, because so many people in our industry go at it alone for their whole life, and they never get that sense of that teamwork, and your results differ with patients. Oh yeah, definitely.
Right. It's a lot. I play tennis also.
Okay.
And the tennis, it seems like a very physical sport. But if you ask all the professionals and like the coaches I've had before, they'll tell you 60 to 70% of tennis is mental.
Right.
It's in the mind. And then in our business, it's even more. Yeah. I would say it's probably 90% mindset.
Yeah.
So it's how can you shift, or how can you influence or elevate a patient's mindset? That starts from the front. from the time they pick up, they call you on the phone,
website,
to when they to the time they come in, and does your staff, are they smiling, excited to see them?
Right.
That makes a huge impact.
Yeah. Even rewind back to online reviews or testimonials like that. That is where the psychology and connection for that patient to you starts, you know, like, or that, you know, that's where word of mouth may actually be of benefit, you know, long term after you've been in business, how long your word of mouth may be the only thing you need, but you know, that's why I said maybe it's a longer term plan, right?
Yeah.
You know?
And I don't want to, you know, word of mouth is very important. I don't want to put that down and say it's not important. I'm just saying there's a misconception that people think that you only need word of mouth to build a practice.
Right.
That's not true. But you definitely need word of mouth. I mean, that can help you build slowly, you know, if you want to do it in 20 years or something. But if you want to do it quicker, you need more than word of mouth.
So what, just before we go on to a couple of the things that you said you wanted to chat about, or that I know I wanted to as well, but, and we've already started diving into that, structuring your clinic and that, what are some of the ways beyond word of mouth that have been effective for you in bringing in new patients?
So my number one, what really helped me build my practice was what I call health screenings. Yeah. Like you go to a fair, you set up a booth, and you know, do whatever you want to do, and you get patients right then. Right. So that has been my number one, because like I said, my first year in practice, I did one every single week.
Really?
And,
yes. You got to search for those. Yeah.
Yes.
Or invent them maybe.
Really, yeah. You really just need to find one. And you just talk to the other vendors, because they do the same thing. Right. And just ask them, hey, when's the next event? And they'll tell you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so
that was the
health
biggest. Events. Yeah, health events was how I built my practice. Okay. That is the most efficient way and the quickest way to get instant, what I call instant new patients. Okay. Because I sign them up right then at the event. I make them prepay for it, and they're a patient.
You give them an event deal or something like that if you book today, urgency. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So that's number one, right? And I've done almost everything. The only thing I have not done is radio. I haven't tested radio out, but I've done TV. Okay. I've done newspaper. I still do newspaper. The newspaper that I advertise in right now, I've done it for 10 years straight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm the only acupuncturist in there. Right. I mean, there are other acupuncturists that come and go. Right. But they usually stop because they don't get patients from it. Yeah. And so, but I get patients from it. It's all about I don't know if you're familiar with Dan Kennedy. Yeah. It's all about copywriting. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So newspaper is another one that's very effective for me. I've also done lunch and learns. So going to corporations. Nice. Going to doctors' offices to talk to them. Right. And I was actually today at lunch. I was talking with an acupuncture student, and she was considering whether to do like a doctorate program because she wanted to learn how to communicate with physicians. Right. She thought that doing the doctorate program would help her do that. Yeah. I said no. I said, you want to know? A lot of what's being taught right now is, you need research to talk to doctors. Oh, right. You need to present. Most acupuncturists think that you need to go to their office and you need to have shitload of research, right? Saying, this is acupuncture has been proven to work. Blah 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 blah. I've got a minimum of, I know of 7 off the top of my head physicians that refer patients to me constantly. Right. I have never given them any research at all. And when I go into their office, they don't ever ask me for any research. Right. Maybe it's just me, but the number one question that they ask me is, do you get results with
A? Yeah, with A. X. Yeah. Research from the physicians that I know, basically they need to know something's safe, and if there's some feedback from patients that, something's good or has benefited them in some way, or that they like and trust you, as a person, that's where relationships are super important. Old school marketing, but which I think needs to desperately make a comeback. But giving the physicians that I know, you might actually upset them if you try and make them think that they need to be studying a bunch of research papers because they can't even read through all their own that apply to their field.
Exactly.
And they're going to just do everything they can to pick it apart, find out how it's underpowered, find out, you know, oh, this is retrospective, cohort, like just everything that discounts it. So, so what do we think? You know, be a likable and trustworthy guy, you know, if they've got patients that tell them this works for them, or you've got a couple of case studies and you have a beer with them. Is that how it's worked for you?
Well, yeah, you actually hit it, you know, a couple of great points. So one of the biggest things, so like I said, the number one question physicians ask me is, do you get results?
Right.
That's the number one question. I have had a few physicians that ask me where the research is, but those physicians are the ones that don't refer me patients.
Academics.
The ones that do, they don't care about the research. They want to know, do you get results with this disorder? And it's like what you said, they have to like you and know you. Right. So you have to have certainty. You have to exude certainty, number one, in our medicine.
Right. Yeah.
On a scale, I ask my associates this when I interview them. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in Chinese medicine?
Right.
And if they tell me anything less than 10, there's a problem. There's a problem. I'm thinking, why are you in this field?
Right. Okay? Right.
Number 2, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in yourself?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, most people are not 100%, which is okay, because that can build. But that's what physicians are looking for. They're looking for certainty, your certainty in your medicine.
Yeah.
I follow Grant Cardone. I don't know if you know him.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so he's a great salesperson, and he says people will buy from you not necessarily because they believe in your product. People will buy from you if they know that you believe in your product.
Right, if you'll buy your product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. Do you have certainty in Chinese medicine? If you don't, the physicians, they'll see it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're looking more for that than anything else.
Right.
And so that's how I got in. That's how I got these physicians to refer patients to me.
Right.
I don't present them all the
big slide deck and stuff.
Yeah.
Can I would love to add one caveat to that, and I fully agree. But you also need to be, in my opinion, I think it's important to be confident and certain where you also can't help.
Yes. That's a great point.
Okay.
And I put a post on Facebook. What's the difference? There's a difference. What is the difference between confidence and certainty? Right? There's a difference.
Interesting. Yes.
So confidence and certainty are not the same thing, at least in my definition. So confidence is, in my opinion, is knowing what you know.
Okay.
Certainty is knowing what you don't know.
Nice.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So I go into the physician's office and I'll tell them, I don't know. I don't know if I can help that.
Yeah.
But this is what I can do.
This is what I do know I can help with. Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I do tell them what I'm confident in what I know and what I'm confident in what I don't know.
Right.
That was a great point.
Because, I think too many of people in our industry lean on that World Health Organization list that is a mile long. And you know what? Yeah, it might help with X, Y, or Z, but if you've got experience in it, it might help with one or two of the side effects of the medication that they take, or it might help with one or two of the symptoms that are common with that condition, or like it's not curing epilepsy, it's not curing everything, it's because if you just try and that's common for newer practitioners that don't have experience too, because I remember coming out of Chinese medicine going, this is so brilliant, I am pretty sure I could help anything with this, and maybe you can help, but knowing what you can and can't do. I love that. That's great. Yeah. Okay. So you just literally cold called physicians.
Yes. Yeah. We cold call them and get them in. Like my second office. We already have, I think, six lunch and learns scheduled for physician's office.
Nice.
The week before I open.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're, okay, everyone please listen, because I think you know, you, even though my last podcast with Michelle, which is fantastic, was about Facebook ads, I think, you know, everyone should listen that, you know, events, going to healthcare conventions, you know, or conventions period. What did you say? Your lunch and learns?
Lunch and learns.
And your
newspaper advertising.
Was newspaper advertising.
Yeah.
Have built a huge practice and one that's going to balloon into another clinic. So to me, you're reiterating some of these timeless principles that we need to focus more on and really choose what you're going to do and just keep doing it with consistency and fervor, and be that guy or that person or those people within whatever marketing realm that you're in, and keep on keeping on.
Yeah, I mean, and I've like I said, I've tested all marketing. I don't knock something until I try it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because that's just not what I do. And so I've tested. I call the social media marketing shiny new objects.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying it doesn't work. Like Dan Kennedy says, every marketing works. Right. It's just you don't work. It's not the marketing that doesn't work. Right.
Right.
And so, and Dan Kennedy even teaches about this. He teaches about the old school marketing because everybody's so into these shiny new objects and they're wasting a lot of money. I know because I did it.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, of course.
Remember, I made most mistakes.
I've spent a lot of money on that stuff too. Yeah.
So this is not from me not testing it out. I tested it out. I spent 10 grand on Facebook marketing. I got zero back.
Right.
Zero.
Right.
I've spent thousands on Google AdWords. Got zero back. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I just don't know how to make it. See, it's not the market doesn't work. I don't work.
And maybe some marketing doesn't work for some people, or it doesn't resonate. It's like acupuncture doesn't work necessarily the same way it would for this 5 people with the same condition. You know, it depends. It depends what lane they're in and what. Yeah.
Well, there's so many variables: the copy, the location. I mean, I know it works because I've had other acupuncturists around here that have, and it's worked.
Yeah.
And now I don't know why. I just haven't figured it out for me. But here's the thing about those shiny new objects: they cost a whole lot of money to test it out. I mean, experts will tell you, oh, you can test it out with just a few $100s. Oh yeah, a few $100 later, it turns into $1,000 later.
Right.
And you're just like, oh, we're still testing to find the right words. Blah blah blah.
Right.
I mean, right now, if anybody knows of a really proven track record, Facebook marketing or Google AdWords, please let me know because I will hire them. Okay?
Right.
I'm looking for them.
Right. Well, you should talk to Michelle maybe, but it sounds like you've got your lane, and maybe that's a problem too that some people have is they spread themselves too thin, or they don't give anything enough time. Like where we've finally got to a point in our clinics is we have the year kind of laid out, and we've basically put that together slowly over the years, and now we've basically got kind of an initiative almost every month, and it changes a little bit, and there's some that are underpinning the whole year, but you got to give things a chance to blossom. And if they feel good, you know, the people at my clinic, and maybe it's because of who I've attracted, they like our dollars going back into the community. You know, our marketing dollars more maybe even being spent on, you know, community outreach or actually creating relationships, or those, you know, more timeless old school. And I love that. So
yeah,
great. So do you mind stepping into this? You're based on stats.
Yeah.
You manage your practice based on, instead of theory and feelings. Can you give a little bit of a rundown there? And then I want to get into some pay structuring.
Yeah. No worries. Anything. Cool. I'm like I said, 100% transparent. So running my practice, I run it, I measure it, everything through stats.
Right.
Okay. We have a stat. We used to track a whole lot more, but you know, it could be a full-time job for someone. Yeah. So we've condensed it down. And so we look at different stats. For example, I'll just give you some examples. Like clinic stats, we look at obviously patient visits per week, revenue per week. We look at revenue per visit, and also revenue per patient.
Right.
Okay. We also look at retention. We also look at conversion, like a lead comes in. Let's say someone calls on the phone, that's a lead.
Yeah.
Okay, so my front desk, this is part of their stats. And so how many of those leads, like 10 people call in, how many of those 10 people did my front desk get them to prepay, not just book, prepay for their first visit?
You get people to prepay.
Yes.
All right.
They don't book for free. No, I don't. My time is valuable.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So
I want to talk more about that too.
prepay over the phone to book their initial exam. Okay. And so that's a stat right there. That's a lead conversion stat. Okay?
Then I bet you get no-shows.
We get very little no-shows.
You know, that's, as a clinic grows, that is a problem, and that is a solution. Everyone listen to what was just said.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I created it.
Yeah.
I was tired of no-shows. Yeah. Right. Because we had to block off a whole hour for them.
Yeah. We're not double booking.
We're not double booking.
Yeah.
So if they don't show up, that could have been, 7 more people I could have helped.
Right.
So I blocked off the whole hour just for them.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's one conversion. And then, so they get on the books. So then the next one is the IE, what I call initial exam show rate. How many people were scheduled, initial exams were scheduled, how many actually showed up?
Right.
Okay. That's another conversion.
Right.
Because we need them to show up. Even though they prepaid, which increases their odds significantly to show up, but they need to show up.
Right.
And then from the front desk, the third stat that we track for them is appointment kept percentage. Like 140 people scheduled this week. How many of those showed up?
Right.
Okay. So that's another stat conversion.
Right.
So those are my 3 main stats for my front desk.
Okay.
And they are bonused. Their pay structure and bonus is based off of those 3 stats.
Okay.
And then we have the acupuncturist part.
Right.
The acupuncturist retention. Okay. Retention is how many visits does one patient end up lifetime? Right. Come to our clinic.
Right.
And then we have what we call rate of response plans. So after the patient comes to the initial exam, we do an initial, treatments, 3 to 6 treatments. We call that rate response.
Right.
And how many of those are closed?
Okay.
These are the acupuncturist stats.
Yeah.
So we do those initial rate of response, and then after those are done, then we go into the care plans. And then we have a care plan conversion. So how many of those care plans were converted?
Okay.
So those are another stat for my acupuncturist. Yeah. So their performance is monitored based off of those numbers. So managing by stats means you take emotion out of business.
Right.
You look purely at numbers, facts. Okay. Yeah. So, and when I hire people, I tell them I manage people through stats. And let me give you an example so that in this situation, you say, hey, I've been working hard. I feel like I've been working hard, man. I've been busting my ass.
Yeah.
I deserve a raise.
Yeah.
I will tell them, well, let's look at your numbers. Let's look at your stats. If your stats show me that you have been producing results, because that's what stats show.
Right.
Are you producing results or not?
Right.
It's black or white. There's no in between. You either produce it or you don't.
Yeah.
So I'll look at their stats and I'll say, okay, hey, let's see, are you producing results? If you are, you're 100% correct. You deserve a raise. Here's your raise. Okay. But if you're not, then hey,
then it's right here. Yeah.
Exactly. It's right here, black and white. It's not that, hey, I feel like you're working hard.
Yeah.
But business is not based off of feeling.
Right.
Business is based off of numbers, stats.
Right.
And so your stats don't show me that you're producing results, which means the clinic's not getting money. So where am I getting the money to pay you for the raise?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That right? Transparency has to be there. Yep.
Well, like I said, I'm very transparent with my whole team. I'm transparent with everybody because, and there's a reason why. It's kind of a stupid reason, because I got tired of trying to remember who did I tell what to. Why don't I just tell the truth to everybody?
Yeah, bullshitters have the best memories, right?
So I'm like, I'll just tell the truth to everybody, so I don't have to worry about what I told and what I didn't say.
Yeah. Okay, that makes so much sense, and I love that. But there is a component to maybe when a clinic gets to a certain size, or depending on what you kind of expect from your staff, on contribution that isn't necessarily or necessarily quantifiable, like contributing, to the blog on the website, or writing, or attending these events, or giving a lunch and learn, or whatever it might be, or just being a motivating factor in the culture, or what are your thoughts on that?
Everything is quantifiable.
Quantifiable. Okay.
Everything is.
Good answer.
You've probably heard this. If it can't be measured, it can't grow.
You're right. Okay.
And measurement means quantifiable.
Is that everything Keith Cunningham or something?
A lot of people say that.
Keith Cunningham's from your neck of the woods. That man is brilliant. If you ever have a chance to see him speak, he's Austin.
Yeah, so I don't. All my mentors told me that.
Yeah.
From the very beginning. So you have to be able to measure everything. And based on what you're telling me, I do have those.
Yeah.
Those are what I call KPIs.
Yeah.
Key performance indicators.
Yeah.
Right? And so all my staff have key KPIs. Like they have to meet a minimum KPI.
Right.
And one of them could be, let's say, posting. You say posting on a blog.
Yeah.
Well, your KPI is you have to post one posting on the blog per day, one post per day. That's your requirement.
Right.
If you don't meet these KPIs, you don't qualify for the bonuses.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right?
So how do you pay acupuncturists? I think Kirsten told me that it's against state law to commission a healthcare provider. Is that right?
It depends on which state. Yes.
I mean, Texas, obviously, you guys are from, but
yeah. I don't know if it is.
Maybe she didn't say law, or I don't know what, but it's different maybe than where I am.
Yeah, and there's a way around it.
Yeah.
Because we're not commissioning. It's not commission. So I pay my all my employees actually the same. I pay them a base salary. So everybody gets a salary.
Okay.
No one's hourly, everybody's full time.
Right.
And their bonuses are based on points.
Okay. Like these points. KPIs.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they earn points based on what they do.
Yeah.
Right? And those points have a value, have a dollar value.
Right.
So every week they accumulate points.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not a direct commission.
Right. Okay. I get it. So, I mean, I would think that a lot of acupuncturists would, especially with the allergies to business that are so common, a salary, even a base lower salary is because bottom line is, well, no one knows how much money it costs to run a clinic.
Yeah.
Money and time. So a base salary is quite comfortable.
Yes.
Sometimes it's a salary is guaranteed. It's it's a job. Then it's like and one of the best pieces of advice a guy gave me once many years ago. He's like, when I was asking for advice on associates and pay structuring and everything, he's like, I think I see one of your main problems, Spence, is that you think everyone else is thinking like an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And most people just want a job and be happy in their career.
Yeah.
And so that changed everything for me.
Yeah.
So a base salary and then bonusing up from there is but with the bonusing is the way to take away the complacency that can naturally come from any human being with a salary, right?
Yeah, and it's the motivator, and I ask. Not everybody wants the same thing. So when I hire associates, I ask them, what do they want? I do the same process like I do for initial exams for new patients.
Right.
I'm asking what I call the life effect. What do you want?
Right.
What do you want? What do you see yourself 5 years, 10 years? Do you want to make a lot of money, or are you just comfortable? How many patients do you want to treat? Or you want to treat this amount of patients? I ask all of this.
Right.
Okay, to see if it's something my clinic can provide.
Yeah.
And so my bonus structure is structured that if you work hard, you're going to make a lot of money.
Right.
Like, I'll give you an example. One of my associates, he's not even been with me for a year yet, probably 6 months, maybe 6 months. His first year in practice, I mean, with me, not in practice, but first year with me. And he's probably he's on the projection of making 60,000 his first year with me. And so in Texas, that's huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Because most people, he's taking home 60,000.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that means you would have to have a clinic. If you had your own clinic, you would have to be making at least 150,000 in your own clinic to take home 60,000.
Yeah, yeah. At least.
Right? At least.
Yeah.
At least.
That's probably being pretty generous, but
yeah.
I mean, and that is, you know, what are $60,000 as I'd like to see statistically how many acupuncturists are making that after 5-10 years of practice on a yearly basis.
Not many.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is because there are more clinics like yours and mine and people that are putting out the effort to create clinics that are going to mature into properly run businesses.
Yeah.
And so that's good just to hear, you know, what an expectation kind of might be. You look at what teachers and other professionals, you know, earn, and it's somewhere between 50 and 100,000. I mean, that would be probably a good guesstimate if you're working your ass off up here, and if, you know, your things are pretty easy and you don't have to do a lot, you know, that lower end, right? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I saw on your website too that I'm going to dive a little deeper with you. I don't know if it's going to be on a podcast or just you and I, because I got
a lot of questions for you too.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, this will continue, and you know, maybe we come up with some ideas. We put out a little course or something, because this is such essential stuff. There's so few of us that have put in this amount of time and are actually attempting to grow, you know, properly run companies. That at some point you could, like, you're structuring this so at some point ultimately you will be able to sell it. And, you know, I assume so. Anyone that's, you know, that is, if you don't have an exit plan in your clinical practice, then you just have a job for the rest of your life.
Correct.
Which is fine if that's okay with you, you know, but and thankfully we can do this till we get old, you know, but maybe you don't want to forever. But anyway, I digress. We'll chat more, and I just think it's such essential stuff that people may not even get right now, but they will if they want to grow something. Yeah. On a more practical level, on your website, you said something along the lines of, you've got this new patient offer or something for February. Is that a way to just stimulate a little bit of growth, or can you tell people a little bit about what you're doing there?
Yeah, but that doesn't really work.
No, okay.
It doesn't. I put it in there, but we really haven't gotten anybody from that.
Do you find that sales and discounts, unless they're properly placed to someone who's, you know, I brought in a philosophy to our practice. Instead of discounting too much right off the bat, you know, or something to try and get people to buy into a series or a program, I used to always, well, if you come to see me for this amount of treatments, these next couple, I'll give them to you, you know, or whatever, to reframe it is no, I'm not devaluing the treatment, but I will reward you for your consistency and dedication.
Yeah, I've heard of that before. I've never tried it, so I can't say, you know, how it would work. I've always done the discount, and I do discounts a little differently also. Okay. I mean, I charge for every single service, and I discount it all, because for me, I want things so simple. Okay. Right. I mean, I can close, like when I was doing functional medicine, I was closing $5,000 to $7,000 plans. Okay. And that I had a 50% closing rate for that. Nice. Which in functional medicine is really high. But what I found out was it took me to do it. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I was like, that's not going to work. The owner. I'm not. Yeah. Exactly. I'm not looking to be the best acupuncturist. I don't really care if people know my name. Right. What I want to create is the Mayo Clinic of acupuncture. And I want my clinic to be known, not me.
Yeah.
I don't really care if I'm famous or not.
Yeah.
And so I need to create a system that any acupuncturist off the street could come in, learn, be able to close.
Yeah.
And actually my associates, since I track stats, right? I know this is not guessing. I have stats. So for me, last year I closed 91%. Okay. And my associates, actually my associate before, she closed 70%. And she wasn't confident. She was an 8 out of 10 in confidence in TCM. She still closed 70%.
That's awesome. That's great. Yep.
And so my current chief acupuncturist, he's 10 out of 10, right?
Wow.
And he's closing 80, a little above 80%.
And these are your programs.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm happy with that. With the 80-20 rule, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
If he can close 80% and I don't have to do anything, I've got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course you do. Oh, that's great. I mean, and that brings up or highlights probably one of the most important things in growing any business, any clinic, anything is having the right people on your team, right?
Yes, that is the hardest part of growing a business. Is finding the right people to get on your bus.
Yeah.
And then
Jim
finding
Collins. the
right, exactly. Good to great. Love that. So it's about, and then finding them the right seat.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Getting them to help you understand the seat that you need to almost build for
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Because you want, you ultimately, it was always a guiding force for me. I want to help you manifest the life you want. So please get clear on that.
Yes.
And then we'll work together. I've brought coaches in to work with my staff, and I know if they're happy, they will treat the patients like gold, and so in essence, my team is my patient or my client or my, and so I, want to take care of them. So, I can't always be doing a lot of that, but I mean, that's ultimately the big picture too. Yeah. Yeah. HR is a lot, right?
Yes.
That's why
I love that part. I love that part though.
Awesome. Well, if you've got a great team, it's great because you've got people like at Yin still, everyone there, I would be super happy to go hang out with or catch a show or have a drink, or they're great people. And that's how we hire. We hire by character, not by some sort of decoration or past experience or whatever it is. It's like, that's kind of our process.
That's great.
Yeah, cool. I will, I'm just looking at the time here. We're at an hour. You've probably got, 100 patients to treat in the next few hours before you go home. Oh no, you're Texas, so you're done.
No, I don't work on Fridays.
Good man.
I mean, I don't treat patients on Fridays. I work. Yeah. I work 7 days a week, but I treat patients on Friday.
I always correct people with that too. I worked 24/7 almost, but I'm not. But I enjoy it. It's David Foster, the famous pianist composer.
I love David Foster.
Someone was asked him once, an interviewer is like, "Oh, you're so successful. Why are you still slugging away in the studio and working with people so much?" He's like, "I don't want to be on a fucking golf course. This is what I want to do. This isn't work. This is who I am. This is what." So if you enjoy the business side, I love it. I feel like that's a way we can help more. I can help more people, and it sounds like the same for you. So it's altruistic.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, the David Foster story, because like many acupuncturists will tell me, "Oh, we need to take a break. You need to go on vacation." I'm like, I'm on vacation. Because my wife and I, we tried it. We went to Mexico for 1 week, sat on the beach, did nothing. We did that. We lasted for 1 day. And we got so anxious.
Right.
We got so anxious doing nothing because we weren't productive. We weren't helping anybody. And it's like, man, we're never going to do this again. And so when people go on vacation, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying for us, it's different.
Right.
Our vacation is, man, okay, how are we going to build this business? Right. How are we going to help more people? That's what I spend. Because right now, I'm not a coach yet. But I coach people for free. I let people come to my clinics for free because that's what I do on my downtime. Right. I'm chatting on Facebook. I got a Facebook group that I manage, and it's like I'm helping people because that's what I do when I'm on vacation.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Awesome. Well, this has been fantastic, and you and I are going to chat a lot more, because I would love to have someone like you to be able to chat with whenever I need, and hopefully I would be able to reciprocate in some way, you know, because it's a little bit few and far between in our industry, and it's nice, like a mastermind or something. But how can people, just to close out and let you get back to life, I've got a sick household here, so I should too, but how do people get a hold of you or get in contact with you, or what resources are there for people in our industry like you just started talking about?
Yeah, you can always email me, yenacupuncture@yahoo.com. That's my private personal email. I post a lot on a Facebook group called Chinese Medicine That Works.
Okay.
So I post a lot of information, a lot about mindset, because that's so crucial.
Right.
And my other private Facebook group, that has to be invited, because we keep things 100% transparent, and I don't want people that have negativity and people that are backstabbers and all this stuff. They do exist in our field.
Trolls.
And so, exactly. And so I don't want them in our group. It's a small group, but we share numbers. We share everything.
Okay.
You have to qualify to get into that.
Nice.
It's free. I do it free. But also, if people want to come to my clinic, just Facebook message me.
Right.
Really, it's really easy. You just set up a time. Set up a time. If I'm here, then we can do it.
Well, if I'm in Austin, I'll stop in for sure.
Oh, you got it. You have to share your stats. That's one thing. Nobody likes sharing their stats. I'm a stats guy.
Right.
If you want to come to my clinic, you got to show me your stats.
Okay.
I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking about other people.
People have to collect their stats first, or actually start observing them. Yeah. Spread.
Yeah, that wasn't geared towards you, but yeah.
That's fine. You know what? I like to measure as well. You know, there's like you too. I think I've measured less and less, but you find the key metrics.
Exactly.
You know, and you know, as I've tried to pull back a little bit. I was counseled once that you got to pull back out of your business some to let it operate on its own, to find out where you need to step back in. Yes. And I've done that a couple times. One because of a death, and one just various reasons. One was a choice. But that's great. Measurement is. I couldn't agree more. How do you fly a ship or a boat without reading instruments? You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What measures grows.
Yeah. What can be measured can grow.
Okay,
that's great words to end this off with. So, achieveintegrativehealth.com is your website. Chinese Medicine That Works, you're on there quite a bit. And yenacupuncture@yahoo.com. I'll put that in the show notes, so people can reach out and say, hey. And I'm going to go, but we'll be in touch really soon as well. Yeah. We need to. All right, man. I appreciate it. Thank you from me and everyone else for coming on the show. Appreciate it.